Welcome back to this series as we are talking about the teachings of Rudolf Steiner with the Luciferian and Ahrimanic energies. In this video, in part 3, I want to again, very briefly, I'm going to link further readings below if you want to dive into the work of Rudolf Steiner and these texts where this is coming from. This video is going to be focused on the Ahrimanic deception and impulse. Okay, so we are in a very heavily saturated time of this consciousness. It's very dense. It's very much about materialism and the physical. Okay, that's very much what this consciousness is about. Very stark materialism and really focused on smothering the human to believe that they have no spiritual connection or autonomy or even like the free will to connect with their own spirit. That the agenda and the programming in this consciousness, and I will say these are I have to make this point with both the Luciferian and this consciousness of Ahriman. These are real beings. Okay, so that's really important to grasp and to sit with. I want to give just a very brief overview on some of the Ahrimanic impulses. Okay, so just in the last video, let me read through some of the tendencies or attributes of Ahrimanic traits. So boredom, diversity, and again, okay, this is the thing. These are two extremes. They're two extremes. As humans, the goal is to come to the middle and not get too extreme. Okay? So the word diversity, of course, like there's not an inherent evilness or badness in diversity. Our entire planet, like you go out into the natural world and permaculture and all, diversity is what that the ecosystem thrives, right? But we're talking about extremes here, okay? Diversity, particularization, many languages, statistics, proof, literal gospel reading. So like in religions, like you have to stick to the text, like don't think outside of of what is written. Quantitative, concrete sensory based, materialism, mathematical astronomy, unread knowledge stored in libraries, individual vision, solidification, granite-like, the humility of Francis Bacon, technological advances. Okay, so those would be the attributes, okay? How do we see those attributes coming into extremes right now? Technology alone, I hope there's entire YouTube channels devoted to the interface of like transhumanism and that merging of technology and humans together, right? That would be this path. That would be this consciousness. The major focus on science, right? Follow the science. That's the program. That's what we're being indoctrinated with in this path of thinking. It is a huge player in our collective consciousness at this time, and it's really important that we are able to see it. In the next video, we're going to start to get into the solutions of like, how do we find the middle path between these two extremes? Because again, it's not that these two extremes of the Luciferian and the Ahriman impulse is not about trying to be rid of them. It's actually about creating a new middle path where both are considered. On this extreme of the Ahrimanic deception, though, in the impulse, right? This impulsive thinking is like, well, these divine figures that have come to the planet, such as Jesus, is just such a popular example. Okay, so he He was just a man. He was just a man. That's the narrative in this way of thinking, is like a real focus on like, well, what kind of human was he? What kind of man was he? Again, these are curious questions I have within myself. I want to know what do you think he looked like? What was his skin color? What do you think how did he actually live? What kind of food do you think they ate? Like all of those things when it comes to like the real physicalness of the human body experience, right? And really morphing all of our etheric body and our astral body, like bringing it so close to the skin, and so it's like this manifests like this. When we get too much, it's like the calcification. Shervin talks about this, the work of Shervin. I don't know his last name. I'll link him below, but he's the founder of Symbiotica, and I just really love following him and in his work. But he reminded me the other day, and as I was researching for this, the calcification, the density, the inflammation that comes as the manifestation of being too much in the extreme of this consciousness. The idea that heaven isn't here, that it is beyond this time, that right now we're in this is hell. Like this is hell, and heaven will be granted to you after you can get out of this body, right? That's very much an Ahrimanic deception. And I mean, we could go on and on and on about this list of, the way that science is literally injecting itself into humans in this massive way, in this massive blanketing sort of way. And I think we are all aware of and seeing this unfold. What this consciousness ultimately leads to, what I have found in myself when I've become overcome in this consciousness, is you become sort of like a shell of who you are. You're very empty inside, very numb inside. Alcohol would be like going to alcohol or going to antidepressants. I spent years in my 20s, maybe a year, maybe not years, but many months for sure on antidepressants, and that journey showed me there was a voice inside of me, a ferocious voice inside of me, and this is really before my awakening, that was just like, you have to get off of this. It was urgent. There was an urgency inside of me, and I don't say that as any sort of prescriptive measure that you need to follow my path in that way. You need to do what's best for you. For myself, when I was under the influence of a combination of alcohol and antidepressants, that was an extremely Ahrimanic time in my life. I was very much a shell of my essence. Okay, and then after that time, what did I do? I swung over into the Luciferic consciousness, full force. I was like, all right, I'm all done over here. I'm packing up and I'm going over to the other extreme, right? And now we're at this beautiful place after, many years being on this path, where I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see the middle ground, the middle way. I'm starting to understand that there's resources here for us to walk that way. Those prescription medications and alcohol and the numbing out, right? I would even say like the Netflix and the binging, right? The binging of anything, to just, because the constructs of reality are just too much. It's just too much, right? That would be like an Ahrimanic impulse. Again, I just want to mention these consciousnesses. Why are they here? And why can we actually find deep respect? I know for myself, I have reached moments of understanding just how much planning and thoughtfulness strategic thinking has gone in to like that Ahriman is, there's like there's a dedication to that vision, right? And after engaging with these consciousnesses in such a full-on way, which I have done, I have a bow. I have a bow within me to just like, okay, I see that for what it is. I see it for what it is. And I am grateful to see that for what it is, so that I can transcend the tendency to want to loop in that consciousness any further. That is the invitation of rebirth and resurrection, and, really seeing the hero's journey through all the way to the end is, part of finding your way to that middle path. So in the next video, I want to talk about the middle path. I want to talk about what does it look like and what can we do? What does transcendence actually look like? What are the steps that we can take? And I've got 3 things to offer you in that next video on what transcending these extremes, how are we going to do it? So I'll see you in the next video.